Hello, it's Sarah Gray here, back with another video for Graphics Arts. I'm going to be making a circular journal page for my 6x6 mixed media journal that I've been working on with the Graphics Arts substrates. It's a great pack, the 6x6 mixed media journal kit, because you've got a variety of substrates in there to try and use. You've also got your disc binding system, and it's a great place to start. Now, I've been making my pages circular, so I'm going to carry on doing that today. And for today's project, I'm planning to use the Dura-Lar Clear, some of the wonderful Dura-Lar white, kind of nice bright white surface there, and also some of the transparencies, because the story I was thinking about telling when I was looking through these designs was that of the typing pool. We've got this fantastic image um, of all these ladies all in black and white, almost kind of small photo size images, and this vintage typewriter with the cogs as well. So I'm thinking about building a page that's kind of tells that story of the typing pool from back in the day. But I also want to have a play with some alcohol inks on the white Dura-Lar. So I've already cut my page. You can watch the previous video to see how I've been building my journal, how I started it. And I've got a range of alcohol inks in kind of vintagey tones, kind of soft browns, pinks, and sepias. So we'll see how we can build some colour on this surface, because the Dura-Lar will take that alcohol ink beautifully, and then maybe do a bit of stenciling over the top. So I'm going to get all my supplies together in front of me and pull the camera down a little bit so we can make a start. So first of all, we need to get some colour down on our page, and I've got one of the alcohol ink felts from Ranger with the kind of applicator tool, and I'm going to just pop a few dots of the alcohol ink onto the felt and then dab it over the page. So the colours I'm starting with, I often change my mind, is the Adirondack Rust. I think I'm going to put some darker espresso in and put some soft colours in as well, like the coral, and also something a bit lighter like the salmon, just give us a bit of variety. So you can see I've just dotted those onto the felt, and then going to tap them, dab them onto the surface. Try and rotate the applicator tool a little bit as I do this, so I don't just get a repeating pattern, and also work back over the surface that I've already applied ink to, and that the alcohol ink will continue to react with itself as you reapply over the top. So the combination of the Dura-Lar and the alcohol ink is fantastic, because the Dura-Lar is of course non-porous, so it allows the alcohol ink to move and blend. It doesn't suck it into the surface, and of course alcohol ink then has these great properties of being able to be reworked as many times as you want, really, if you want to put blending solution or change up your color combo every time you apply that ink over the surface. It will react and continue to give you different looks. So can you see? That's quite a nice pinky colour. I was thinking I'd get something a bit browner, but I quite like that. Maybe I'll put a bit more espresso on my felt, just to bring the colour down a little bit. What I'm planning to do is lift some of this colour through a stencil. So I don't want it too pale, because obviously we want the contrast that lifting the design will give us. So I've just gone back in with some espresso and sienna. That's just bringing a few more brown tones in. This is very addictive and I could carry on going for ages, but I won't subject you to that. I think that's just added a little bit more depth in. And another lovely quality of alcohol inks is it dries pretty much straight away. So we've got a great background there. And I'll grab my stencil and we'll see how we can lift some of that colour back off the page. I'm going to use an A4 stencil. This is by Funky Fossils, called Moving Parts, and you can see it's got all that kind of machinery and cogs and gears on it, and I thought that would work well with our typing pool and also with some of the cogs that are on the transparency that we're going to use. So I'm just going to position it over the top of my alcoholic background, and I've got some alcohol lift ink by Ranger. I'm going to effectively apply this through my stencil and lift some of the colour. I'm going to use a blending brush to do this, but you could use a cosmetic sponge or something else to apply your ink. I'm using the brush because I think it will give me the finest detail. I think it will pick up more of the detail of the stencil. But of course, once you have used a brush for this, probably keep it to one side for alcohol lift ink. So let's see how we get on. I'm not going to stencil the whole background. I am going to do, I think, probably two parts of this background, and you can see, or hopefully you can see, the alcohol ink reacting to the lift ink there. You're unlikely to get your substrate back to a completely clear white. This is about lifting and lightening the colour, but it's unlikely to completely remove all of the ink. You can see how it's kind of lifting almost the mottled look that the alcohol ink had on the Dura-Lar. You can see the ink kind of going onto the paper. It's being pulled off the Dura-Lar itself. So I'm going to speed this up a little bit just while I'm applying the ink. You can just see how easy it is to do. Effectively, it's the same as applying ink through a stencil as you would normally do. This time we're just taking the colour away. So we've got the contrast there between the softer areas where the stenciling is and the mottled background. And you might have seen at the end there, I kind of blotted the alcohol lift ink with just a piece of copy paper. It lifts just a little bit more colour from the surface. So once you've applied your ink through the stencil, it's always worth blotting off just to see what other colour will come up on that copy paper. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to die cut with a circle an aperture on my page because I'm wanting to kind of play with this circular theme. So I'm going to die cut a circle on my page, and I'm also going to cut a circle of our lovely vintage ladies so that can sit behind the aperture that we're creating here. So I'm going to go away and do that and be back in just a second. I've die cut the ladies in a slightly bigger circle than the aperture, so I'll be able to adhere it behind the circle on the page easily. But before I do that, I just want to do two quick things. You might be able to see on camera, I've pierced some holes just around this edge of the circle. I've just used an awl to do that, to puncture the holes. And I'm going to use some cotton thread to add a bit of stitching before I adhere my my image behind the aperture. And I'm also going to add a little bit of colour to our ladies. I'm just going to add some colour to their jumpers. So I've turned this round, turned the, I'm not sure which, I don't think it matters which way you put it. And I'm going to use a Posca pen to add a little bit of colour behind the image to the jumpers themselves. Really easy to do, just kind of colouring in. Posca marker is an acrylic paint marker, so it will dry beautifully on the Dura-Lar. It's a really fun way to add interest to the black and white images on the prints. You see how that will look. So I'm going to add a few pops of colour to the ladies, add my stitching, and we'll get back together and start to build up some embellishments to complete the page. So the main part of our page is now done. I love how those ladies look with their colourful jumpers behind that circle. Now I want to add just a few embellishments to the page to finish. And I was going through my my stash of stamps and found this film strip in our fade out. It's Funky Fossils A6 fade out stamp set, and it just so happens that they work really well as a frame for the little kind of passport photo images. So I'm going to stamp this onto some of the clear Dura-Lar with some black archival ink, and I'll add a bit of alcohol ink to the back to give it that kind of worn negative, old film negative look, and we should be able to put some of those lovely images behind it. You can see I've already stamped a couple. I'm only going to stamp one more here. So I'm using archival. You could use stays on as well, or you could use something like VersaFine ink and clear heat emboss it so it does dry on the Dura-Lar, because obviously it's a non-porous surface. And one of the fantastic qualities is you can heat, as you can use embossing powders on your Dura-Lar transparent, because it won't warp and melt under the heat gun. So I'm using the archival though because my stays on's dried out. And it's kind of an old distress style film strip, which again works with the style of the page that we're making. So I'm going to flip the Dura-Lar over, and let's put some alcohol inks behind it just to give it that aged look. So I've got some rust and some butterscotch, and just literally going to do the same as we did when we were building the main background. Put a few dots. I'm not wanting this to be as intense a colour, but also it won't give a solider coverage as it would do on the white Dura-Lar, because we don't have an opaque background to be working on. So this will always give us slightly more a softer, more kind of translucent look when using alcohol inks, which are themselves transparent. So I'm working across all three of the film strips. I won't need all three, but it's always good to have embellishments on hand. I've used a bit too much, I think, butterscotch there. It's a bit yellowy. I'm wanting it to look a little bit more sepia-y. So I've got the bring the rust in. I say it will look more intense at this point because it's against a white background, but when you lift it up, it's pretty much transparent. So don't be alarmed when you're putting the colour down. So I think that will work nicely. Can you see that? So you can see how it gives that kind of that old look of film negatives, which I absolutely love. Right, let me cut these out and we'll put our vintage images behind the film strips. So to put our photo film strips together, I'm going to be using the Artist-tac from Grafix, which is perfect for adhering clear embellishments to a page without the adhesive showing through. So I put some Artist-tac on the back of this white cardstock. I'm going to put that behind our faces because I want a solid white behind them, otherwise I think they'll get a bit lost behind the film strip. I think that will give them a little bit more substance. Give that a cut. And then I put Artist-tac behind the film strip as well, so we can cut each of the faces and put it behind the frame. I'm going to do this in twos, I think, so they fit that way. I'll cut them as individuals. To have these two ladies. And then if we take the Artist-tac off the back of the film strip, such cool stuff. And then I'll put each lady in the frame. I think that's going to work. There she is. And put the other one. Just trim it down a little bit. There we have our photo strip ladies. I think I'm going to do a third one because I've had a thought. I'll tell you that in a second. So let's cut one more face. It's great to have the Artist-tac on the back because you can just put things together straight away without any hassle or glue drying time. So if I put behind this, and I'll tell you what my thought is. I love it when a journal page kind of comes to life and it starts to go off in all sorts of directions that you weren't necessarily expecting at the beginning. So my thought was, I was playing around with the circle we cut out of the page, and I thought it would be really cool to have that put back in the page, and there's a little hinged opening to the ladies that sit behind. So what I thought I'd do is add the typewriter, so it's the typing pool. So again, I put some Artist-tac on the back of the vintage typewriter from the printables. I'll stick that. I'm just going to leave it on the white back because I think it'll have a nice graphic look. It'll be nice and clear, a nice clear image. I'll just trim any bits that are sticking out from around the circle. Yeah, that's it. And then put, it's probably all, I always get these things wonky. See if it goes like this, which lines up stencil. Like, oh yeah, it works. Surprise. Does it work? Yes, stop checking. So what I'm going to do is just put a little bit of washi tape to create a hinge there. And I've got some washi tape that has that kind of typewriter font. So I'll probably go back in and use a little bit of adhesive on this to give it some longer term stick. But for now, while we're just seeing how it all plays out, how cool does that look? So that's really nice. Cool. So I am thinking that one of the ladies could be sat on the edge there, almost a little tab to help lift that window, the door on the window. And then I've found in my stash of papers, I've got some kind of letters, oh, numbers, sorry, that I've cut out and inked, which will be our 9 to 5. And we'll be putting these ladies somewhere on the layout, yet to decide. I could actually have them at the top. I think I'll probably put them there. And then all I'm going to do to complete the layout is I will add the words "make every moment count." Can you see those? From the transparencies, I'm going to put a bit of paint behind them, cut them out, and arrange them there as a title between 9 to 5. So you'll see that on the final page when it's done. But it's nice to have a bit of an interactive element. We've been playing with our alcohol inks, stencils, both the clear and the white Dura-Lar, just showing how well they take that alcohol ink and how you can add dimension and interest to your transparencies by adding ink to them, stamping onto the Dura-Lar. So many fantastic things you can do with these. So I hope you enjoyed the journal page today. Please remember to go and check out all the fantastic inspiration over on the graphics art page. There's so many cool techniques by talented artists for you to see there, so you're never going to be short of ideas. And I will get my page completed and show you the final result. So here we have the finished layout, slotted into our discbound journal. We've got our fun aperture that opens up to reveal the typing pool ladies and typewriter. And we've done lots of different techniques with alcohol ink, stencil, stitching, stamping to create the layers on this page. So I hope you've enjoyed it and found lots of ideas for using your fabulous graphics arts products. See you again very soon. Bye for now.